It's not often that you see a film so wholly original, but I was really pleasantly surprised by Strange Darling and how it manages to deconstruct and put a unique spin on the serial killer thriller genre. But how well does its unique storytelling approach work, and how's the film overall? Well, stay tuned and I'll share my thoughts. Strange Darling is a 2024 film directed by J.T. Molnar and stars Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner. I'm gonna try and keep spoilers as light as possible for this review, as it's definitely a film where you want to go in knowing as little as possible. I will say that it's a story divided into 6 chapters, and we actually start at chapter 3. The first thing we see is Willa's character, referred to in the opening credits as just the lady, being chased by Kyle's character, referred to as just the demon. As the story progresses, we jump around the chapters in a non-linear order, jumping back and forth in time, learning more and more about the events that unfold, and kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, the story slowly reveals itself until it's staring us right in the face. And that's all I'm gonna say about any specific plot details. Yep, that's all you're getting. If you end up watching this, I think you'll thank me later for that. This non-linear approach lends itself into some really creative storytelling and some really shocking moments later on. And while there isn't much dialogue in the film, when it is used, it's quite powerful. There's a scene early on with a conversation between characters that's executed in such an unpredictable and thought-provoking way. It really makes use of the non-linear storytelling, and the dialogue itself kind of straddles the line between ideas of life and death, between sex and fear, and it's really powerful stuff. Beyond just the story, the presentation of these moments is also really great. Since there is not that much dialogue in the film, the sound design does a lot of the heavy lifting, and it shifts from these quiet sounds of nature to these sickening, violent, guttural sounds, things that sound like flies buzzing around a corpse, to distant chainsaws humming, to industrial heavy metal guitar riffs. And this is all juxtaposed with these sing-song ballads from songwriter Z. Berg, who composed the soundtrack for this film. Her vocals are lovely and calming, but if you take time to listen to the lyrics, it hints that there's something wrong, something unsettling bubbling just under the surface. The visuals are bathed in this neon blue and red, which really floods the screen. It's probably worth noting that this film is actually shot on 35mm, which makes the detail even more rich. It's really not afraid to let you linger on some of its shots and really take it in, which I like. Now, while I think the first half of this film really delivers, and by that I mean the first half of this movie, not necessarily the first half of the chronological timeline. While the first half of this film really delivers, I think once everything is revealed, the film begins to lose some steam. The dialogue in the first half was so clever and nuanced that it's kind of a shame that it never really makes a return to form. Specifically, there's a scene towards the end with 2 police officers that from a dialogue perspective, it feels like a cheap parody of the first half of the film. I also think that once things are revealed to you and you understand the characters' motivations, you realize that there isn't really that much depth to the characters. There's not enough backstory to explain these character motivations, and it leaves the overall second half of the film feeling like there's not enough meat on the bones. I will say though that this is in spite of the acting by Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner, who really bring their A-game and deliver some outstanding performances. Director J.T. Molnar described his creative process for this film as starting with the opening shot of the lady, dressed in these crimson scrubs running through the forest, and worked backwards from that scene to create the rest of the plot. It's kind of a style first, story second filmmaking approach, and it is clear that this film is abundant with rich stylistic details. Or hell, I even think it's incredible that he manages to create such excellent storytelling in the first half with this approach. But unfortunately, towards the end, once all the cards are on the table, it does start to feel a little bit more style over substance. Overall, I would give this film an 8 out of 10. Strange Darling is playing in theaters now. If you saw this film, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments, and please subscribe if you want to see more movie reviews like this.